friends, just coming on because I've just managed to get a lot of apricots, quite reasonable. I'm going to weigh them and then make them into apricot jam, because the apricots are really good for you and you can use them in a variety of recipes as well. I often incorporate them in a frangipan with fresh apricots and the jam and an almond and flaked almond topping, which is absolutely delicious. But also they are really nice if you're making something like a sachatorte from Austria, to get that lovely apricot jam in the middle as well, but and also just on some crumpets or toast. So I'm going to weigh these out and I'm going to match the fruit with the sugar. I'm taking the recipe from Made at Home Preserves by Dick and James Strawbridge, which I do believe probably will still be available. And for this recipe it says you make 5 kilos of jam if you've got 2.5 kilograms of apricots, and that is 2.5 kilos, 5 pounds in weight of apricots, 500 mils, which is 17 fluid ounces of water, and 3 kilos, 6¼ pounds of preserving sugar. So in this instance, you have a greater quantity of sugar to the fruit. Normally, like with strawberry jam, I'll match both the weight of the fruit with the sugar. So that's an interesting point, isn't it? And it also says preserving sugar. I haven't got that, but what I do is I place the stones in a muslin, tie it up, and I put it in the bag as I boil up the actual fruit, and then the natural pectin from the stones will come in the liquid, and then that helps thicken it naturally anyway. And that's what I generally do with all my jam, and I've not had any problems. Always consult a recipe and check for the pectin levels in the fruit that you are doing, first of all, please, so your jam comes out successfully, because I'd hate it to be ruined. But it's so delicious, and it's lovely when you can find a lot of fruit. If you've got a glut of fruit yourself, that's wonderful, how lucky you are. If you go to the markets and the supermarkets and the farmers' stalls, etc., towards the end of the day, sometimes they'll offer you a whole quantity of fruit for a reasonable price, and that's the time to buy up and then start thinking about preserving things. I'll try and wait for the season, and then if I can get a huge box full at a good price. So I hope you'll enjoy this, and thanks for tuning in. And it's all about apricot jam today. I've also got a couple of other jams. There's grapefruit marmalade, plum and strawberry jam recipes on my video links, so please scroll back. So a quick one, it says cut the apricots in half, remove the stones, place the stones on a square of muslin and tie into a bundle. So put the apricots and water in a large heavy bottomed pan, gently heat until the fruit is tender, add the sugar and heat until dissolved, add the bag of apricot stones to the pan, turn up the heat and boil rapidly for 25 minutes until the jam passes the test for setting point. When ready, pour the jam into sterilized jars, and obviously you take the stone out, of course. It's a really delicious apricot jam, and I hope you try it. I'll show you a few clippings on the way to make the video quite short. Leave a comment in the comment and a like if you like the video. Make sure you get a saucer in the freezer now, and then during your jam making process you can take a teaspoon of jam, put it on the saucer, into the freezer, wait a few minutes, make sure then you can see if the setting point is reached. It's generally about 104 degrees on, if you've got a jam thermometer, keep that, checking that. But also the traditional way is just with the saucer in the freezer. Take the pot off the heat while you do that, so that it's not boiling up. If it's not done, return the jam on the heat, boil up a little bit more, and then take a little bit more, a teaspoon, put it on your plate again, pop it in the freezer, and then run your teaspoon through the middle and check it's not flooding together. And if it holds its own and the actual gap in the middle, the space in the middle is still there, your jam should be set by then. But check again online if you need any more help about that. And this book is a really nice book on preserving. So let's get started. So get these lovely apricots. I've not got my jam pan because it's right at the bottom, lots of heaviness above it, so I can't, to be honest, be bothered to get it out. So I'm going to use a preserving pressure cooker. Just going to use a knife and chop them in half. and then pop the stones separately for now. I'm wearing my little apron that I made some time ago. Got a video out on this. It's like a granny apron, reversible, so it's plain-ish on one side and then it's got this fabric on the other with a nice patch pocket. It's a video to this if you want to see how I made this. Reminds me of my granny with her old apron on. I thought I'd do a few more cooking videos actually. Right, I'm coming over here so I can have a chat to you. So I've been making all these dresses, haven't I? And oh, they look so beautiful and everything. But they're very, very big, and I just feel like it really adds a lot of like weight onto it. And my husband looked at the last one and said, "You look very square in that," which put me off, didn't it? So I thought I'll have a little break from the dressmaking, and I'm going to start using some of my old vintage fabric and make bags and things like that. I've done aprons, haven't I, in the past, and I've done some dresses lately. I've made a lot of like tablecloths, table runners, curtains, cushions, etc. So I thought what I'd do is try and do a few more cooking videos at the minute. But if you're missing the sewing, you know, let me know, because I don't want to lose any of you. I really love all my subscribers, and I thank you so much for being here. And you know, when you're new to this and you haven't been doing it long, and you see you've got another couple of subscribers and your numbers are going up, you feel like having a little dance. It's really, really nice, you know. So thanks ever so much, always. Thank you for the lovely kind words and the sort of encouragement I get from you thoughtful people out there. So bless you all for that. I really appreciate that, and it kind of makes my day. You're making things not everybody else is wearing them. You kind of feel like a bit on your own, don't you? So it's nice to have that encouragement out there and say, hey, you know, I like that. You're all right. You're doing okay. You know, you're not that mad. And menopause sort of is a funny thing, isn't it? I'm getting brain fog. Not like I was 5 years ago, you know. It's anyway. So it's nice to have a bit of encouragement. So thank you again. So I've got all these lovely apricots, and have a couple yourself, you know. Don't just put them all in a jar. So we're going to put the water in that, weigh them up, water it, and then I'll come back to you in a moment. Okay, so going on the recipe, I've actually got half the quantity that they've got, so that's really helpful for me. They put down 2.5 kilos of apricots, and I've got 1.25, so that's bang in half, which is wonderful. And they say 500 mils of water, so I've got 250 mils of water. So it says pop the apricots and the water in a pan and gently heat till the fruit is tender. So that's what I'm going to do now. Oh, and I forgot to mention the most important thing is get your jam jars sterilised first, of course. So what I normally do is put it on at 140 degrees centigrade and in the oven for about half an hour, and then it'll sterilise them all. Make sure that your jars are thoroughly washed beforehand so you can sterilise it. Arrange the jars and lids on the oven shelf, making sure they are not touching each other. I don't know why, must be an expansion thing or cross-contamination beforehand, I don't know. Always prepare more jars and lids than you think you need. Should you end up with more mixture than anticipated, it is too late to start sterilising more jars once the food is ready. Check the lids to ensure they are free from nicks and cracks, otherwise they may not be airtight. Close the oven door and leave the jars to heat up for about 20 minutes. Get your funnel sterilised too by popping that in boiling water for a few minutes. Leave your jam and preserves or pickles to settle for 15 minutes with the lids just sitting on the top before sealing. Make sure to label and date your jars. It will make managing your store cupboard much easier in the long run. Okay, so that is what they are suggesting. So that's what I'm going to do now. Just check on the jars in the oven and see if they're all right, and then when the jam is ready I will remove them from the oven. So it's a satisfying time of the year, isn't it? Because all summertime and autumn is when you get all your gluts and your seasonal fruit and vegetables, and that's when you can turn these things into jams and chutneys and jellies, etc. But there's a couple of things that I'm looking at now this time of the year, looking for things like all your fruit, your blackberries, your bilberries, your raspberries, crab apples, and then we'll come on to things like elderberries and sloes, quinces, plums and pears as well, and apples. That's really what we get around here, and you can make all sorts of things with those, can't you? So jams and jellies, and also pies, chutneys, like I've mentioned before. And when you actually find these things, you've got to like pick your own farms. Sometimes if you're lucky enough to have pick your own farms, that's really good, isn't it? And local farm shops and supermarkets. Then you can retreat back to the kitchen and spend a nice time in the afternoon, sometimes when it's a rainy day, chopping and, you know, collecting everything and preserving it, and it's really fun. And it's nice when you're eating it and you've made all those things as well. So have a little look and think out when you're actually now next in the shops. I've got a little cut-out leaflet from a magazine, and it says somebody's made a lavender and lemon jelly. Well, I've never done anything like that before, but that might be quite fun. I really love lavender, and I've made lavender scones before, and a cake which had a little bit of lavender in, which was really nice, but a lot of people didn't like it. So it's one of those things, isn't it, that really you make what you like, don't you? It's like going back to the dresses I've been making. You know, I love the style of the dresses, and that's why I've made quite a few of them, and I just had to stop myself because I love how it looks, but it's not really suiting me. So I've got 4 now videos of lovely beautiful dresses. I don't feel 100% confident in them. I thought actually because they're so wide and bulky, I'm going to use them for when I go swimming, because I do a lot of wild swimming, and they'll be ideal just to wear at this time of the year with it being nice and warm, just to pull off when I'm ready for going for a swim. So I think I will use them, but not necessarily wearing them publicly on a day-to-day basis. So back to all the berries and the apricots. A little excerpt from a magazine which says about blackberry, and we'll come on to blackberry in September, and keep an eye on those elderberries and blackberries, and start picking as soon as you see them turning ripe. So when this fruit is tender, we're going to add the sugar and heat until dissolved, and then when it's all dissolved, we're going to turn up the heat and boil rapidly for 25 minutes. We've add that bag of apricot stones to the pan, and then we'll test it. So we'll put that saucer in, like I say now, into the freezer, so that's ready. The jam jars have been in the oven. Providing you get them in 20 minutes before, you'll be fine, and they'll be nice and sterilised. Right, so now we're going to put the sugar into the jam pot with the apricot and the water. It's a lot of sugar. Give it a nice stir. I'm going to turn up the heat and boil for about 25 minutes now. This book is a really good book actually, because they do things lovely, don't they, with the self-sufficiency, and they're very good cooks of course. But there's a lot of variety of preserving methods in this book, and just hunting through it, it gives you some nice inspiration. So when you're out and about and you see lots of good value fruit and vegetables, be mindful that they're, you know, even if you think you can't eat it now, there are ways of preserving. Obviously drying is an easy way, and you can get dehydrators as well, and they're not too expensive. And also you can dry sort of tomatoes out in the oven like they do in the Mediterranean countries, and also preserving them in chutneys as well, and jams and jellies of course, and freezing things as well if you buy in bulk, you know. So there's lots of different methods, and it goes through all sorts of things here, and just basically points out various things to take into consideration, like humidity levels as well, because that is also things that you might not necessarily think of, and just how to just generally store things traditionally, like squashes and apples and vegetables that you may have grown on allotment or been given or to find cheaply, and also how to dry things and what's the best method for fruit and vegetables, etc., and how long it takes to dry. And there's even something called solar drying that they must have made that's been around for thousands of years with virtually no equipment, letting the nature take its course with the power of the sun, drying stuff out. So, you know, there's all sorts of really top tips in this book. So I would strongly, and some nice little recipes as well to make, and I'd strongly recommend the recipes I've done in the past is the raspberry vinegar, which is really delicious, and I do like to make vinegars for my salad. I'm going to have a go at this balsamic glaze one because I love balsamic vinegar, and I buy a lot of balsamic glaze and it doesn't go very far, and obviously it's quite expensive. There's a recipe in here for fig balsamic glaze, so that'd be worth doing as well. So I would really recommend it, and obviously there's other preserving books out there as well. I think I've got another one here. I've got the River Cottage one as well, and this range of books I love. I've got the bread, I've got the hedgerow and preserves. Really like these ones as well. And again, Hugh Whittingstall has done this, loads of different things in collaboration with a lot of the other people that he's worked with, foragers and Jam the Pam, Pam the Jam, sorry, brain fog again. Lots of different recipes in here. Again, marvellous book, loads of different things, loads of different recipes to do with all sorts of fruit and vegetables and forage things as well. So it really is a great time. Spring, summer and autumn is the best time just to get out there and pick stuff and make things and preserve it for the winter months. And it's almost like sometimes you can bring a bit of sunshine to your plate, can't you, if you've done like various things in the summer and you're able to eat them in the winter. I don't know about you, but I think the quality of imported fruit and vegetables that are coming, that are not in season, are coming almost raw and ripen at home. I don't know how you feel about it, but the flavour has been lost somewhere along the line. So if you can buy a huge amount in season, wherever you live in your own country, and preserve it, I think you're preserving that flavour and that intensity of flavour that you love. Back to the apricot jam. Sorry, I do always go and have a bit of a chat, don't I? But I do love to hear from you and have your comments, and yeah, I really appreciate that. So I do like to have a little chat and natter. So yeah, I can't stop that. It's good for the soul. So yeah, so I've got a nice cappuccino, so I'm a little bit of a nice drink while these lovely apricots are bubbling in the pan, rapid boiling them of course, like I said, and then we'll come back and we'll do a plate test of them, see if we're up to scratch and they're ready to pot up. I also have a jam thermometer that I always use. I've had this for absolutely years and years, £3.89, it's probably going to cost about £15 nowadays. It's an old one. It goes back in the packet, all wrapped up for it to be secure, so no one puts anything heavy on. And generally speaking, I go up to about 104.5, 104. But on the back of it, it gives you useful information about the temperature that you should be doing. And in here, there's all sorts of sweet candy, jelly, syrup, fudge, soft ball, the temperatures that you go up to. So 104 for jelly, which of course is jam as well. And then even you can have deep fry with this. Onions, aubergine, eggplant, French fries and chicken. But I've never used it. This is just for me, for my preserving. And I pop it back safely, so I've had it for many years. But you can, and I also do the saucer test of course as well. So I do it twice, I don't know why, but it's just something that I do. So do whatever's easiest for yourself. Just make sure that the setting point is reached before you bottle up. Otherwise it'll probably be either too runny, or it'll be like hardball toffee, which you will not be able to get out of the the jam jar, and I've had that before. As I said before, that's why always pull it off the heat while you're testing it, because you're going to test it, put it in the freezer for about a minute or two and wait and then test it to see if it's actually at the right temperature and it's at the right setting point, and then if it's not, then put it back on the heat and do all that again, boil it up again. You know, it'll take you a bit longer, but it's worth it, because if you keep it on the heat, obviously, and it's boiling up all the time, it might be boiling up for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, that might be the 2 or 3 or 4 minutes that makes it rock hard and it's ruined. So, you know, always remember that. Somebody asked me recently, why do you make jam? You know, why don't you just buy it? What is the point? The point is, I like doing it, I like to make my own things, but for anybody who's never done it before and is questioning why and what, you know, why bother? Your average jar of jam probably will cost you £2.50 to £3.50, maybe slightly more at a farmer's market in the UK. That'll be a lovely jar of jam. You can get a jar of jam that's just almost like a thickened jelly, and you can't see hardly any fruit in it at all for cheaper. You might pay £1.50 in a supermarket. It won't have the right taste. The premium ones that I've said will be very nice and be near enough the same as your homemade jams. The Bon Maman is beautiful, and some other brands are really, really lovely. And if you go to a farmer's market, hopefully, generally, you'll get a really great product. So I bought my apricots on offer. So all that box cost me £4. Normally it would be about £10, and the sugars cost me £2. So all in all, it's cost me £6. So that would be 2 jars of jam, the luxury brand if you like, to buy. I should hopefully get 4, 4.5, maybe 5 jars. We'll see how many I get. You can do the maths. It's worth the while financially as well if you like that jam. And also, if you're going to make a lot of variety of jams, then you'll have a variety of jams here. You've also got them at home. You can give them your friends, family, you could even sell them if you want to. But I make for myself and my friends and my family as gifts. And you know, whenever anybody comes to visit, they can get a nice jar of jam or some chutney or something nice. So I'm just popping again to show you. These are the ones that I made the other week, a couple of weeks ago. I didn't do another video because I think I'm making quite a lot of jam, so the same principle, the same. But this is plum jam, and I got a good offer on the plums, of course. They were the nice black plums, and I got quite a lot of those, and so I've made quite a lot of jam with that. And this is rhubarb, and I got rhubarb jam. I got a lot of rhubarb. I love rhubarb, and you only get rhubarb twice a year. I come from Yorkshire, as you can probably tell. So we, you know, in rhubarb we have in Wakefield the rhubarb triangle, and a lot of people love rhubarb. We're used to rhubarb a lot. So this is rhubarb jam. I like to make rhubarb jam, rhubarb fool, and rhubarb galettes with puff pastry and sugared top. Lots of things with rhubarb. It's just absolutely delicious. But it's something that probably you either like or you don't. We've just finished the last lot of jam that we made, which was a mixed fruit jam. I just used frozen summer fruits out of a frozen couple of packets from the supermarket, which are very, very good value at the moment. And they're already frozen, but I just boiled those up, and that was a really nice mixture of a jam because I didn't have anything to make jam at the time. So, you know, you don't always have to have fresh fruits. I often will go and pick lots and lots of fruits, raspberries, blackberries, apples, and sometimes freeze them and then make things out of them later on in the year. So, you know, love a bargain, and preserving it until we have it. So we have a lot of that. What I'll do with that is use that in a cake. Have a nice big Victoria sponge, put some rhubarb in it and some fresh cream, which will be delicious. And also the plum again on toast, we like that, and crumpets. But that also go in a frangipan. So when I put a short crust pastry base, put my jam on the, and I'll use a whole jar, and it'll be a large frangipan, and I'll put the whole jam on the bottom. Then I'll make a nice almond frangipan, which is ground almonds and lots of egg yolks in it. You'll find a recipe for this online. And then I put real big cut pieces of plums in, and then scatter it with flaked almonds, absolutely delicious. Recommend it. Slightly warm, it's beautiful. Right, so I've just taken this out, and what you do is with this back of a spoon, just make a little sort of gap in it, and then sort of pour it backwards and forwards, up and down. And if it all came together, you'd know it wasn't set. But this is not coming together at all. You know, no matter which way I tip it upside down. So that shows that it is going to set nicely. I do like it if it's got a little bit of a runniness to it. I don't like it really, really solid anyway. So you get to know what sort of texture or consistency that you like. But that's perfect for me. Put this on somewhere solid. Got my ladle and I've got my Kilner jam funnel ready. I'm going to get the jam jars out of the oven now. Be very mindful and realise that everything is red hot now, so be careful and make sure you don't burn yourself. Use sterilised equipment all the time, and the quicker the better. Right, so we'll get bottling the jam up now. So we've got 5 full jars out of that. Be very careful on putting the lids on so you don't lose the seal. And when I've done each one, I put them on the tray. It's really hard to get a tight seal. And then last time my husband said, "You've not tightened it properly." And I thought I had. So remember, always make sure you've got enough jam jars. I have got some left, of course. Got 3 left. I'd rather have them clean and ready and not used and not have anything, and then having to put something in a sterile, unsterilised pot. If you do find that a problem, just use a cup or a bowl, put boiling water in it, and then put it in your fridge and use it up straight away. You can cover it and put it in the fridge for a few days, and then hopefully it won't go, mouldy. Looks yummy, tastes delicious. It's really got that apricot taste in the back. Really, really nice. I'd really recommend it. And yeah, so for that amount of fruit I got 5. So remember, I did have half of the ingredients, didn't I? And he did say there was 10 jars, so that's spot on, isn't it? I put probably about 100 grams less sugar in, and it still works, so you don't have to have the full whack. So for 3 kilos sugar, you get away with probably 150 grams less if you wanted to. It's still a lot of sugar at the end of the day, but jam is jam. It's sugar, isn't it? So yeah, I've really enjoyed that. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and we've now got 5 lovely jars of jam. To add to the jam stash. And thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon with another make. Bye for now.